Okay. So we're just coming together, folks. So for those of you who are coming in now, just find a comfortable seat. And thank you all for coming. It's nice to see all of you. So see if you can establish yourself in a dignified, noble manner. And of course, especially today, appreciate that you're sitting in your community of, for many of you, many, 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 many years. And see if you can feel the presence of others in the room. You know, there is, the science has come up with the fact that if you imagine people sitting next to you, the neuroplasticity of the brain having some strong visualization can actually produce the feelings of that camaraderie, that community, feeling the presence of others in the room. And then, as many of you know, I've been working with the wise words of Sylvia Boorstein, especially in terms of change in one's life, in terms of aging. And she says, be confident in the future. Everything is manageable. And even though I won't be here, guiding you, so to speak, along the way, along this particular noble path, know that I'm always here, that you're for you, and you're in my heart. Many of you have told me you hear my voice in your head when you do your practice. So again, be confident in the future. Everything is manageable. Knowing now that you're on this noble path of loving, of awakening, of compassion, of wisdom. You're on this path now, and you'll continue to be on this path with me. Know that this very confidence holds all pain and all sorrow and disappointment. Be confident in your own capacity, as Sylvia often says, to meet this moment fully, to meet this moment as a friend. And then if it feels good for you to repeat that adage, may I meet this moment fully, may I meet this moment as a friend, then please say it silently to yourself. And then when you're ready, of course, allow your eyes to open and stretch out your legs. So welcome everyone. I see who has come into the room. Tristan, wonderful. Lindsay, whose name says Eileen. Nice to see you. All right, so we're going to just start supine for a moment. So I just want to say, because some of you have come in when we first sat, I wanted to, I had played around with what I was going to teach on this day, and I came up with a sequence, which again, I wanted to have it easy for you to remember. So we are starting with symmetrical poses, moving on to asymmetrical poses, and then retracing our steps, okay, which I really like. I've done it with some other teachers before, using like the crescendo pose and then retracking our steps. So what I'd like you to do, it's a very hot day, and this may come in handy for you later today, is to just simply lie flat on your back. It's a very decentralized cooling pose with your legs outstretched to the outer edges of the mat and the arms wide. Okay, So we're just going to start with this. It's cooling, it's calming. Hi, Lana. Oh, everyone's coming in today. Anita's connected. Nice to see you all. So lying flat, and I will finish a little bit earlier because I know that some of you haven't seen people like Susan, people like Anita, people like Polly, Janet, Anita in some time, Tristan, well, we saw Tristan, she was here last Friday, but I think it'll be a good idea to connect with each other. You know, and again, if we want to talk about whose classes to take, Tristan had mentioned hers, Rahel is here, Susan.
Hi, Ronnie.
Hi, Anita.
I don't mean to interrupt. I do mean to interrupt, actually. I'm on my way to a doctor's appointment.
Oh, okay.
But I just want to wish you all a beautiful last session.
Thank
Very
you.
sad.
I'm
So
glad that you came online.
I send my love to everyone. And I hope we can get together as we have discussed, Ronnie.
Yes.
So keep me posted and love to you all, okay? Bye.
Thanks, Anita. Love you.
Bye. Love you all. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. So just rest here. Appreciate the cool floor below you, the legs wide apart. Observing the breath, meeting this moment, fully meeting this moment as a friend. And just continue to enjoy the breath as it is. And plant this in your toolbox, so to speak, because this will come in handy this summer when it's very warm, feel hot or sweaty. Just really nice to lie down in a cool room with the lights on low. Just imagine a cool shower washing over your skin, the cloth of the body. Sense the forehead skin and the eyelids moving down toward the cheekbones, having a calming aspect on the mind. If it's helpful, you can even place a blanket, as we've done many times, on the forehead skin, which will, the heaviness of the blanket will pull the eyelids down toward the cheekbones and then allow the eyes to recede back. And even if the eyes are closed, sense you're looking outward, even from underneath the blanket, seeing from the corners, the outer corners of the eyes, and just relax. These are very helpful tools to calm the mind. One can even do this with a roll underneath the spine so that the spine kicks into the back body. And then gracefully, when you're ready, bend your knees, roll to the side. And I think, unless you don't have a wall, we're going to do Baddha Konasana against the wall. This will help many of you who are working on Baddha Konasana. So what I like to do, and I know I've said this, I always think of that, you know, the things that I say over and over again, but I'm taking the blanket on, so the blanket fold from Sarvangasana on a narrow fold, because I don't want my outer thighs on the outer edges, because otherwise they'll never come down. Let me adjust the camera, because I think this is important to say one last time. All right, so let's get the camera at the wall and the blanket shape. So I'm sitting on the blanket with my back to the wall. I'm starting, as you typically do in any seated pose in Dandasana, sealing the legs to the floor, and then artfully, articulately placing the hand in the pit of the knee, rolling the calf flesh down to the floor, and bringing my legs. It's easier to do the first leg, hence why we usually do this pose twice, so that the soles of the feet are together. Now, you might need more than one blanket, like a bolster, all right? Actually, the bolster is not ideal because it's almost too wide. So another blanket in that same configuration. Okay, now press the feet strongly and widen the thighs away. Widen the thighs away. So we're in Baddha Konasana. Trunk is upright, aided by the wall. You can feel the coolness also of the wall. This is also, even though it's seated and not supine, a wonderful pose when it's hot. It's a very decentralized pose for the lower body. Give a good lift to the side ribs. Articulate your spine so it's upright. Try not to have the shoulders forward. The wall will help. All right, now stretch your legs to Dandasana. Take the right leg out. So I started with the right leg. Take the right leg out, left leg out, and do Upavishta Konasana. Some of you may not need the blanket in Upavishta Konasana. Place the hands beside the hips, and again, lift your side ribs. Yeah, doesn't have to be the widest Upavishta Konasana, probably for most of you about 3 feet apart. See that your feet are perpendicular to the floor. Good, just, and that's it. Feet are perpendicular. Do open the soles of the feet and spread your toes without creating tension in your toes. Spread your toes. Be on that heel hinge, the back of the heel, the very center line, the median line of the leg. All right, now take the legs back to Dandasana. So we're starting with symmetrical poses. And now taking the left leg in the same way you took out the right, hand in the pit of the knee, turn the inner upper knee, inner upper thigh, roll the calf flesh toward the floor, and then bring the heel into the perineum. And then of course the other leg is now harder, the right, but we've done it twice. And then lift your side ribs. So these are, I will say, because I just have to say it, there's probably not a day that goes by. I'm reminded by Stephen Sondheim, not a day goes by without doing Baddha Konasana. So I really, for the hips, this is an incredible pose, and Upavishta Konasana. So if I were to compile an everyday list of poses, which I was going to do, but it got too long, this is it. All right. Press the feet strongly and widen the thighs away. Also, Malasana, what I'm sitting in now. And as I mentioned on Friday, you can read the New York Times. All right, stretch out the legs, Dandasana, and then we're back, of course, to Upavishta Konasana. Take left leg out, right leg out. Likely that you'll go a little wider because you've done Upavishta Konasana once. You've also done Baddha Konasana twice. Be on your perineum, Susan, good. Be on your perineum. Look at your legs, divide in two so that the leg feels equally divided right to left. Right to left. The inner side is not bearing more weight than the outer side, especially for those of you flexible in the lower spine. See that your outer thighs are pressing. Okay, now, even if you're at the wall, come a little further away, inch out, as we've done many times using your core strength. And then seal the legs to the floor. And then take the arms up. If you're at the wall, that's fine. Reach up through your fingertips. Take the arms down, come back to Dandasana. Okay, and now we're going to just do an in-out movement, which will help when we do Prasarita Padottanasana of Ardha Padmasana. Know that you could always do this supine with the legs at the wall. So like Baddha Konasana, you can see I keep the knee on the floor. I aim the right foot to the left groin. I go in and out. Jenny, okay? In and out. In and out. So you're using the hands in the same manner you did in Baddha Konasana. Go in and out. Don't stay long, just a second. If the foot doesn't come to the other groin, it doesn't matter, right? If you want to work on Baddha Konasana and Padmasana, then you can simply keep one leg in Baddha Konasana, one leg in Upavishta Konasana. This iteration will help your Baddha Konasana come along. Go in and out, Ardha Padmasana, and then I'll just show quickly. So that iteration I was talking about in Ardha Padmasana, you swing your legs at the wall. Now I have gravity aiding me so that I can take my foot into the groin, and you see how the knee drifts back toward the wall. So it's a circular pattern. As I bring the foot to the groin, the knee moves back. This is another great way. It's also very cool. All right. Go in, out, in, out. So these are kind of, these are for the hips. So the hips don't get cranky, so to speak. Okay, now take one final Upavishta Konasana for the knees, having done this in-out movement of Ardha Padmasana. Seal the legs to the floor. And then again, go a little bit wider, smidge wider. Remember to keep the trunk absolutely perpendicular to the floor. And then one more time, reach up. Keep the elbows firm. I know it's hard when the arms are overhead to keep the elbows firm. Turn the skin of the inner upper arm into the midline, and imagine you're reaching not only through the fingers, but the fingernails themselves. Good. And now take the arms down. All right, now we'll make this symmetrical pose, Upavishta Konasana, into a standing pose, Prasarita Padottanasana. All right, so we'll come to stand. Still with symmetrical poses, which are always more easeful than asymmetrical. That's why we're starting with them. All right, so stand in Samastiti. Place your hands on your hips and jump the feet wide apart. Lindsay demonstrated jumping on Friday. If there's a problem with the feet or back, sometimes knee, then of course step the feet wide. And then look to see that the feet, like Upavishta Konasana, are running parallel to each other, pressing the outer edges of the feet down. Find those indents in the hips. So what's inherent in Upavishta Konasana, inherent in this pose, is the compactness of the hips. All right, now lifting the arches away from the floor as you spread the feet. Feel the femur head draw back into the hip socket, and then from those indents, from the compactness of the hips, bend forward. First stage, concave back. Most of you will find that probably don't need blocks. You can be on your fingertips. Good, Beth. Lift the abdomen away from the floor, those of you more mobile. Find the shoulder blades flat on the back. Look less from the chin and more from the bridge of the nose, so you don't get that crick in the back of your neck. Turn the arms from the inside out. Okay, now bend your hands, bend your arms, walk the hands back in line with the feet, and take the crown of the head to the floor. Also cooling because the head is down. If you need a block, place it on the low side or the medium side. If you need more than the high side, just stay in concave. All right, just stay in concave, or one could use the seat of the chair. Good. All right, now place the hands back to the concave position. Turn the arms from the inside out. Look forward from the bridge of the nose, keeping the legs absolutely poker stiff on the exit. Bring the hands onto the hips and inhale, up you come. Elaine, you can repeat Prasarita Padottanasana if you want, or do some calf stretches or even plank, forearm plank, while we do Adho Mukha Svanasana. All right, come to stand at the top of the mat. All right, you can show me in profile. And then taking the arms overhead, resist the thighs coming forward. I mean, I don't know how many times we've talked about this, but a lot. So imagine I had a plank board against the roots of your thighs. Get the weight back. If you feel the weight into the toes, and remember we did that toe strengthening, fabulous toe strengthening exercise. Andrea, you had the toe pro. Friday. So the weight shouldn't be in the toes. Remember I said Tadasana, I taught this in Rahel's yoga and aging. The weight, the toes are in extension, but I don't want the weight in this pose Tadasana to be in the toes. It should be toward the back of the arch, right? Weight is back, like Utkatasana. Keep the arms up and then exhale, bend forward. Those of you who can jump, we worked on jumping on Tuesday. Jump back. If you're not jumping, not a problem. You can jump, jump, jump. Okay. All right. So take a long enough stance, the distance between your feet and your head. We had to measure a plumb line dropping from the hips. So most of the time, especially when we jump, we're too short a stance. All right, so I'm going to just look on the screen. Outer shins in, everyone. Heels down, sink the heels down, sink the heels down. And then pressing the palms down, go up through the inner arms. Lubna, do you have the hands on the blocks? Get the shoulder blades flat. Okay, good. Shoulder blades flat on the back. The dorsal spine moves in and up in the direction of the ceiling. Janet, that's really good. Outer shins in. The legs are really good distance of the legs. If you can't get the heels down, so be it. All right, try this. Walk the feet in. You can jump. Those of you who bend the knees and jump, or walk the feet in. That's it, Janet. Jump, jump, jump. All right, now just take a quick calf stretch. We'll do one more dog pose, and then Elaine, you can join us. Take a quick calf stretch. If you have the chair nearby, use the chair, or you can use the blocks against the wall, or you can do the other, this one. This will help some of you. The other one I talked about on Friday is you can do Malasana. You know, Malasana will really open up that calf, as I'm showing, I did on Friday as now. Sometimes I'll substitute the calf stretch and you do Malasana instead. Okay, good. Can do it that way, Lindsay, good. All right, we're gonna take one more dog pose in about 30 seconds. Elaine, you can continue on with forearm plank, even Vashisthasana. All right. So when you're ready, let's take Adho Mukha Svanasana as a change of pace. Unless you step back one leg, then you probably should repeat it. I'd like you to go prone. You know, oftentimes we don't do it prone, but it's really good to cultivate the strength that I was talking about on Friday. So lying prone, placing the hands by the armpit chest, pushing up into a high chaturanga. And then exhale, good Lubna, back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. One thing that's really good about the prone, it typically gets you into a better stance than stepping or jumping back. In fact, some people from a prone position come up too wide. So it's interesting to, you know, vary up your routine in Adho Mukha Svanasana with taking it from Tadasana, from an all-four position, and of course, the preferred, what I prefer taking it from a prone position. Good. Remember, I'm just planting seeds along the way. If your hamstrings are tight, always start with a wider Adho Mukha Svanasana. We even touched last week doing a narrow one, which is harder to take the spine in and harder to open the backs of the legs. But it's just, again, a nice variation to do it, to challenge yourself where the feet were together. So I'm just bringing up these things to, you know, so that you're left with a really big toolbox. Okay, now jump or step, walk in, and inhale up your come. Okay, so now we're doing, again, staying with symmetrical poses, but open the backs of the knees and unfold the legs. You're going to do Padangusthasana. So you're going to hold the big toes with the index finger, middle finger, and hook with the thumb, as though you were pulling up the big toes. Start with the, so in this pose, just so you know, it's always done. There's not an iteration where the feet are together in Padangusthasana, nor Padahastasana. Uttanasana, yes, but not Padangusthasana. Take the arms up again without taking the weight forward into the toes. Exhale, bend forward, hold the big toes, pull the big toes up, arms are straight, concave back, Look forward from the bridge of the nose. Lonnie, you all right? Look forward from the bridge of the nose. Roll the buttocks over. Don't let the buttocks, no buttock left behind. No buttock left behind. All right, now widen the elbows out to the side. Release the waist, side, ribs, and head. Go down. You don't want to take the head down, then stay in concave. Good. The legs bend, that's fine, Polly, that's fine. All right, now release the hands from the big toes. Place the hands on the hips. Inhale, up you come. All right, reach up with the arms. Thighs back. Lift the arches, suck the outer shins in. Imagine you are hugging a block between your legs. Exhale, bend forward. And now insert the hand. Notice which hand you're inserting first, because you should do this pose twice. Likely that you held the big toes at the same time. Get as much of your hand right up to the wrist line to the toes. And then pressing the feet strongly into the hands. The hands pull up the feet, but the feet always win. The feet press strongly. And then go wide with the elbows out to the side. And again, keeping the legs straight if you can. Release waist, side, ribs, and head. Fine to do it that way, Polly. Take the arms out to the side and go down. Go down, keeping the legs straight though. Remember, roll the buttocks over. The buttocks want to move behind. Now that's good. All right, now release one hand at a time. The same hand that you took under first, and then repeat it, taking the other hand under. So, you know, one does this generally twice because one inserts one hand first. So take the arms up, exhale, bend forward, insert the opposite hand. Remember, the feet always win the battle. Hands pull up the feet, but press the feet strongly. And then again, widen the elbows out to the side and go down. Go down, roll the buttocks forward, roll the buttocks forward. If you need to bend the legs, that's perfectly fine. And we've done many, many times this whole series of Padangusthasana, Parahastasana, Uttanasana with the legs bent. Now extricate the left, then the right, place the hands on the hips and inhale, up you come. Now we'll do my very, very favorite, okay, one that I do every day. Not a day goes by where I don't do Uttanasana with the legs against the wall. So I like to get the bricks. You can do two, you can do one. I'm just laughing because I think of Jarvis teaching these poses and always saying, you know, guys, you have to stand it before the wall and then step back, because otherwise you'll fall over. So I'm bending forward first, then I'm walking back and gluing my legs to the wall. Remember, I'm taking the feet still wide apart. Suck those outer shins in. So you're on the median line of the legs like you were in Upavishta Konasana. The back of the legs should fold evenly. There should be samatvam in the backs of the legs, and evenness. Evenness of body, evenness of mind is the path of yoga as written in the Bhagavad Gita. Seal the legs. You should feel all part of the back of the leg, not one part left behind. See what part of your legs unfolds easily above the knee. See if you can glue, make an imprint of your leg flesh on the wall. Okay. Now walk forward. Inhale, up you come. And then one final iteration. Taking your blanket, unfold it from the Sarvangasana shape. Fold it. And you know, you'll know after many times how much fold you need for your abdomen to stay in contact with the legs. So I'm placing the blanket in this manner. Some of you might have less, some of you might have more. I go back and I'm at a diagonal this time. So my legs are forward, but just my butt is on it. I place my roll below the navel band, and then I go down. Full pose, connecting the torso with the lower body. The roll is there so you can truly connect. This will help many of you. If you need to make it bigger, have the feet hip width apart. Lindsay, that's good. Just use the couch. Really nice way of doing Uttanasana. Although many of you are like, Elaine, that you don't need the blanket. I know that. Lubna, this will, yeah, this is a really good way for you to do it. Think Paschimottanasana. If you were seated, you'd be in Paschimottanasana. Okay, now unglue the buttocks from the wall, shift the weight forward and repeat, go down. Keeping the blanket there, go down. So now the legs are perpendicular to the floor rather than being on a diagonal. Of course, this is, moving toward Uttanasana, first without blanket and not wall, hip width apart. Good. Elaine, do Paschimottanasana then. All right. Now place the hands on the hips, come forward up. Yeah, you're forward already. All right. Now inhale up, you come. Now I think, as I see the room, let's do one iteration that we do less of. And again, symmetrical. This is the one with the back against the wall to the degree that you can. So this is a challenging one for me. It's actually much easier. Those of you who've been in my studio, Tristan and others, you've seen us do it at the wall, at the column. It works beautifully because you can sling a belt and hold it. So it really helps stretch your legs. So you're gonna, I'm now again forward of the wall and I slowly walk in. So I want as much of my back against the wall. If you don't have a wall, then just repeat what we just did. And then to come out, I swoosh my head to one side, doesn't matter which. And then I come up gracefully and place my forehead against the wall. All right. I know sometimes people feel nauseous with this, so be mindful. All right. And those of you who have the rope wall, it's even better because you can hold the ropes. That's it. Bring as much of your back body onto the wall. Tony, that's good. Val, excellent. And I think you can even walk closer to the wall. Mary Beth, yeah, good. So many of you have this nice shape of the back against the wall, which helps open up the paraspinal muscles. It's wonderful to do before poses like rock and roll. Now to come up, swing your head to one side, stand still facing the wall, and just place your forehead. And if you're doing another iteration, you can join us now. All right, now we're taking Uttanasana first with the feet hip width apart. Again, symmetrical. Symmetrical leg stretches first. All right, just as a launching point, we start with Baddha Konasana, Upavishta Konasana. So now the feet are again hip width apart, sucking the outer shins in, inner arches and knees lifting. Use the arms to lift the trunk out of the hips, which is a healthy action for the hips. And then place your hands beside your feet, concave back, and then we'll go down, both stages. If you need blocks, take them, roll the buttocks over. If you need to bend the legs, perfectly fine, then bend the legs. Uttanasana. And now place the hands on hips. Inhale up, you come. And then let's just do a quick dog pose. I'll take a little detour, quick dog pose with the feet together, and then we'll come back and do Uttanasana with the feet together. So start like this, guys. Start with this one with an all-four position. And then you'll come up, check your stance that you have enough length of the legs behind the hips to elongate your spine and bring the feet toward each other. It will be harder to unfold the legs. That's the nature of the decentralized Adho Mukha Svanasana. So each, iteration, geometry offers something different. It might be more of a challenge, it might be less of a challenge. It might affect the organic body differently. It might affect the mental body differently. And this is why we teach in a very varied manner. Join the feet. Those of you who want, you can even lift the toes up. Elaine, that's right. Okay, now walk your feet toward your hands or your hands back toward your feet. And again, come back to Uttanasana, feet together. Or if you want to come up, just join the feet, raise the arms up without taking the thighs forward, and Uttanasana with feet together. You can use your hands to suck those outer shins in and then go down. Final Uttanasana, imagine you were in Paschimottanasana. Paschimottanasana. Go down. Yes, the classic way it's true is the hands are beside the feet, not holding, but I see some of you holding the backs of the heels. That's fine, even to have your forearm. A lot of people like the forearm on the back of their calf so that the calves move forward. That's particularly helpful for anyone who tends to, for your hyperextending, that's a particularly valuable iteration. Okay. And now place the hands on the hips and inhale, up you come. Okay, so I'm doing this, Polly, I was thinking about you. So I'm gonna give you some options here. I will have some of you now do, again, this is symmetrical, Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, we'll all do that. Then we're going to go to rock and roll. Polly, if the rock and roll is, from times we've met is challenging, I will explore with you some options as I have already. But remember, you can always just stay with UPP, Urdhva Prasarita Padasana. So we did this on Tuesday. So I want to see if we can again hold it for 2 minutes. It's the classic Akunchanasana abdominal pose. So I'm going to have you take your knees in, find 90 degrees. We were just there in Uttanasana, right? So now the backs of the legs have been open. If you find it very challenging to keep the legs straight at 90, you can use a belt or you can put the block as we did on Friday. And then for those of you who can, take the arms overhead. We're going to stay for 2 minutes. So this is not a day goes by. Urdhva Prasarita Padasana. This will help all the abdominal poses. Ardha Navasana, Paripurna Navasana, all the arm balances, Lolasana, Ekahasta Bhujasana, Tolasana, Titibasana. And then those of you can take the arms overhead, no elbows, no knees. No knees, no elbows. If you want to put your hand on your navel band and see that the skin is drawing away from, good Janet, away from your hand. If it's challenging, use the block or the strap. The block between the thighs, not between the knees. So hopefully this is, I do teach this pose so much, this is easeful for you. We worked on sit-ups on Friday. That was more challenging, I think. Right above the knee. The legs, especially for the good Beth, the legs will want to come forward. For those of you who have more mobility in your hamstrings, good Val. See that the legs are perpendicular. If it doesn't strain your neck, you can even see yourself on screen and see that the legs are 90 degrees. Which is something we never had in class that we could do. All right, 30 seconds longer. This will serve you well. Janet, just take the legs a little smidge toward the chest. That's it. Legs poker stiff, arms poker stiff, abdomen drawing back. You're not pressing the sides of the waist down to the floor. It's not like that. You're not recreating a new lumbar spine. The abdomen draws back, but you're not pressing the sides of the waist. Good, Tristan. All right, now, from here, take the knees into the chest. Now, if it's appropriate for you, meaning to say, if anyone, I don't think anyone has a neck issue here that really cannot do this, Peggy, if your neck bothers you, then I wouldn't do it, is you're going to do it without any props, go back to UPP, take the legs touchdown. So I go back to 90, I'm not peeling myself off the floor, right? 90, toes to floor, 90, toes to floor. And then if that's coming, take the arms overhead, toes to floor. If that's not possible, you'll take a bolster or two underneath your pelvis. You can put probably the seat of a chair behind you. You can hold the bolster, especially if it has straps, and take the toes to the seat of a chair. And if that doesn't work, then I would abandon it and just stay in UPP. Okay, is that clear? If anyone has any questions, because this is a not a day goes by pose. That's it. You're only touching the legs overhead for 1 second. You start at 90, good gal, all the way back, and then 90, all the way back, and 90. All right. Still symmetrical, now with movement. Hopefully having the back against the wall has helped this. That was one of the reasons why I took good. Andrew, swing the legs. If the legs don't come to the floor, then I would put in a prop so that, you know, you're connected, the chain is closed. You want the feet to touch something. That's it. This also will help Paschimottanasana. All right. Now take the knees into the chest. Take the knees into the chest. All right, so on Friday, was it Friday or maybe it was Tuesday? Lana demonstrated Paripoorna. So I gave you 2 options if you remember. So some of this is review. So the first way we did it was the classical way from Dandasana. We took our legs up and outstretched our arms. That's challenging, and we talked about the bulk of the legs. Many of you prefer this method. Knees into the chest, holding the backs of the thighs, and then extending through the core of the heel, and then quickly extricating the arms from the backs of the thighs. And then others of you found it helpful to do with feet against wall and extending the arms out toward the wall. So any of those are acceptable for Paripoorna. All right, just as review. You can show me from the side. I would say if anyone's back bothers them, bye Janet, then I would have the feet at the wall. Because it's a harder iteration to start with straight legs, swing the legs up, and then extend the arms in line with the shoulders. Reach through the fingertips like you did in Urdhva Hastasana. So the arms keep you afloat. Good, Lindsay. Reach through the fingertips. So Lubna, watch. So this is what I want to just say. This is a challenging pose. So, and we have to be mindful of this. So when the legs begin to go from, let's just say, many of you did it bent. They're starting about 60 degrees and they go to 30. That's what hurts the back. So when your legs start to sink, you have 2 options. You can then quickly bring them in. I will say quickly because you want to avoid future back pain. Quickly bring the legs in and start with the hands against the backs of the thighs, and then quickly try another attempt, or just do it at the wall and eventually straightening the legs. So be mindful of, once you take the pose in whatever iteration you're doing, that when the legs begin to drop to 30, it's not good on the back. I've explored a great amount of time invested in these abdominal poses. So this is really important. And I would say put the feet at the wall and then gradually walk the legs to a straight position, moving away from the wall. Good, Beth. All right, for that matter, taking the legs too high is not classically the pose either, just so that you know. All right, Polly, so watch your back in that because the legs are coming down. All right, let's take another detour here as I see the class. Take your belt. Paripoorna is actually taught before Ubhaya Padangusthasana, but Ubhaya Padangusthasana is really a much more easeful pose for most people, because holding the big toes or the outer edges of the feet or using the belt closes the chain. When you have something to press into, it naturally makes the pose much more easeful. So watch. I'm going to hold my big toes as you did in Padangusthasana. Now, people often ask, can you take the arms on the outside? I think it's easier. Yes, you can. You can. I find it easier to take the arms on the inside. I'm holding the big toes in the same way I did Padangusthasana. And then watch. You see how my upper back is rounding? Before I begin to extend through the core of the heel, I kick the dorsal spine in. Of course, I'm balancing evenly across the buttock bones as well. And then I harden through the heels. And now I'm in Ubhaya Padangusthasana. Lindsay and others, if you want to hold the outer edges of the feet, that's fine. Okay. Now, some of you can hold the big toes. And the holding the big toes, must I say, is not a function of really hamstrings. It's a function of the hip flexors. If the hip flexors are tight, it's hard to hold the big toes. Then use the strap. But when you kick the dorsal in, kick, not so the pose is not this. Kick the dorsal spine in. So actually the legs, and this is good, Mary Beth, how are the legs different in Ubaya than they are in Paripurna? They're much closer to the chest. Can you feel that? The legs aren't this high in Paripurna. They're lower. This is like more 70, 80 degrees, 75 degrees. Mary Beth, these look good. It's interesting. It's more easeful. Now kick the dorsal in. Imagine I'm behind you or a block there. Kick it in. All right, these look good. Now, mind you, some of you can go deeper. You're holding the big toes. Take the legs in. Take the hands to the outer edges of the feet and take it a second time. Those of you who want to go to the back of the heel, that's moving along even more. And then finally, this pose becomes a pose called Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana, where you're taking the legs to the chest and the whole upper body and legs, yes, Mary Beth, are perpendicular, right? They're absolutely perpendicular to the floor. That's challenging. Okay, now release the legs and try this. So this is kind of how I got, this is not exactly what I wrote down, but that's always the case, that the class informs your teaching. But take Paripurna again, because oftentimes using Ubaya Padangusthasana as a platform for Paripurna will help. All right, so one more time, let's challenge ourselves to do Paripurna Navasana, full boat pose. And remember the iteration, I've taught this with the chair also. So we've accomplished so much. That's it, Gail. Legs are straight? Yes. So the legs aren't as close to the chest in Ubaya Padangusthasana. Good, Julia. Let's see. That's it. Good, good, good. Yukiko, good. All right. Now, when you're ready, just seal the legs to the floor. And now, since we've been talking so much about Paschimottanasana, take Paschimottanasana. Feet together if you can. Otherwise, feet apart will do. Symmetrical, even, forward bend. Release the weight. Yes, move the trunk forward. Make sure your diaphragm doesn't stay back. Sometimes it's good to help. Sometimes it's helpful to come up like you're coming up for air, like a fish. Take your hands to your abdomen and kind of move the organic body forward. So the spine is coming forward, but you've got to take the organic body, and then everyone press the upper knees down. That's the part that we forget, right? The upper right above the knee, press it down into the floor. Again, keep moving the whole trunk, which includes the abdomen, has to move forward. Otherwise, you get this shearing action on the spine. The spine comes forward, but the abdomen draws back. So remember what you did in Uttanasana. Okay, and now you're going to come up. All right, so take your belt, lie flat on the floor and do Supta Padangusthasana 1. So this is now, after, close to an hour, our first asymmetrical pose. So if you want to, in your mind, you can just go through all the symmetrical poses that we did to get here. If you have your feet at the wall, that's fine. We're not going to do the final one yet. We'll use the belt. Place the belt across the arch of the foot. Have that evenness, that samatvam in the ribs, that compactness in the hips, and now begin to move the leg. As you move the leg, watch the left thigh, roll it in and press it down. So I know Suki had to leave, but she's told me that every day she does the Supta Padangusthasana cycle. And I would say the same. Supta 1, 2, 4, 3, and all the many, many times we've done it in different ways. 1, 2, 4, 2. We've done different iterations of every one. We're doing Supta 1 today, though. Those of you who are finding it challenging to open the back of the knee, pull the toes down, lift the heel up. That will help. Why is this a challenge? Why is asymmetrical challenging? You know, something to press into. There's nothing like a floor underneath your right foot. You can hold the big toe, you can hold the big toe, but we won't lift the chest and head yet. Trying to stay about, 2 minutes. So really let the pose be a process. It's not like you're out of it, you're in it. It evolves. Observe the breath. Remember to kick the dorsal spine in so the spine doesn't sleep on the floor. Observe how when the leg gets closer to you, the chest, how that abdominal action of Urdhva Prasarita Padasana has kicked in. Once the leg goes past 90, it becomes an abdominal pose, and Gita writes about in the preliminary course. Okay, and now take the leg down, and we'll stay for 2 minutes on the other side. Just to refresh your memory, on Friday, we did it without the belt, which is a little more challenging to hold it because it really demands that your abdomen is strong, but that's just another iteration. Okay, so take the knee in, Ekapada. Lindsay V, okay? And then we'll do the left leg. Those of you, scan back the first 2 years, we've been doing this online, when you observed, is this how the two sides different? Maybe they've gotten more even. Left to right, right to left. You don't feel that disparity as much. Again, pull the toes down, lift the heel up. So as you move the leg, the abdomen kicks in, but remember to keep the metrics of Supta 1, which are hips compact and side ribs even, there. So not to let that outer hip, left hip move out or up. Keep going, stay with it. Let it be a process, evolve your pose. Such an important pose. But appreciate that asymmetrical poses are generally less easeful than symmetrical poses. That's the nature, we did standing Prasarita and Adho Mukha Svanasana. They're easier than Supta 1 and poses Parsvarottanasana, Chitta Hasta, which we'll get to, and then we'll retrace our steps back. Stay with it, good, Yukiko, good, Val, good. That left side is really healed, Val, good. All right, now release the leg. Draw both knees into the chest. I'll just insert symmetry here because I like inserting symmetry after asymmetrical right and left. Do flex the feet, spread the feet, open the toes. Again, abdominal. Okay, and now our first asymmetrical standing pose, which you all know and love, Parsvarottanasana. If you want to put the back heel at the wall, please do so. If you need blocks, get them. All right. Gail, you would like Parsvarottanasana. We did so many iterations of this with dowel at the hips, with chair, the backrest at the root of the thigh. So, today's an opportunity. You can do them, any of them. So Gail, you would like the chair. Some of you like the dowel. Remember, guys, and this is common. I see this so often. There's a crisscross action in the stance where the right, in this case, let's see how it's hard to show on the screen, where my left foot is more to the midline. The ideal alignment is basically heel to heel. Okay, if you can get heel to heel, that's wonderful. You'll feel the compactness of the hips if you need the back leg, and then suck the outer shins in. All right. Yeah, back heel has to be down. If you need the wall, take it for the left heel. All right, just quickly take the arms up to get length in the side ribs. That's it, Tony. Now, bring the hands back to the hips. Focus on your back heel down as you bend forward, First stage, Parsvottanasana. Suck the outer right shin in. It wants to move out. Bring the weight to the big toe side of the right leg. Chin up. Look forward from the bridge of the nose. So there's no crick in the back of the neck. If you need the blocks to get the concave, do so. Good, Lindsay V. And now go down. Remember Padangusthasana, Uttanasana. Now, remember what I said about Uttanasana. The chest belongs to the thigh. If you want to insert the blanket roll, that's another option, Luna. You can put the blanket at the root of the right thigh and go down. Just trying to incorporate so many ways we've done this. Good, legs straight. Now keep the legs straight, especially on the exit. It's a little bit harder because our mind goes to coming out. Inhale, up you come. Good, Julia. All right, change sides. So remember, on the entry and on the exit, keep the legs poker stiff. For most people, the entry, their mind is focused, but on the exit, it's not. Back right heel to wall. Remember to take enough stance, enough distance between the 2 feet so the spine can indeed lengthen. Now keeping the legs poker stiff. Left shin in, arms up. Exhale, bend forward. Bring hands back to hips and keep those legs straight and go down. First stage. Yeah, taking the arms forward, Julia, is a way to do it, and I appreciate your zeal, but harder and can be very contraindicated with back issues. So hands on hips, yeah, and then put the, Luna, do you have the roll there? Insert that roll, yeah, and then you'll feel that connection. Back heel down. If you're not doing the concave, the full pose, that's fine. And then release. Forehead to shin, which is really the final pose of Supta 1, which we'll get to. Good, that's really good. Remember, there's the chair option, the dowel option. Okay, and now place the hands on the hips. Inhale, up you come. All right, now we're going to do Tita Hasta Padangusthasana. You can do it freestanding. You can do it the foot against the wall, what we call with support, and you'll use the belt. All right, those of you who cannot hold the big toe or the outer edge of the right foot freestanding, then use your belt. So this is, we've done this pose many, many times. You can face me or sideways. All right, so before we do this, one of the things that I've been doing for muscle mass to avoid sarcopenia in the future is, and for balance, because this is, I think, where did I, Gail, in one of the articles I think you sent me, they recommended doing this. Oh, I know what they said. They said, see if you can stand on one leg. Oh, we might as well do it for at least 10 seconds. See if you can stand on one leg, count to 10. Good, everyone's doing it. Good, Tony. Stand on one leg, lift the knee. Okay, that was over 10. All right, change sides. This is in one of the many articles I've read on aging. Lift the leg up. Good, hold it. Hold for 10. You can hold for 20, even better. Spread the toes. I will say that doing it in a sneaker might be more palatable. The other option, which I've taught a lot, is what I call the leg lifts forward. You can do that, or leg lifts out to the side. We've done a lot of these. This is such a, yeah, that's it. Out to the side, so you can do this. You can have fun. You lift it up and then take it out. Lift it up, take it out. Lift it up, take it out, and then you're standing, that's it, Mary Beth. So this is where you can get quite creative. Lift up and out, or just lift up, or just take out, and then balance. Repeat, 10-second holds. 10 seconds, good, you keep, go, 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 go. That's it, hold it. Got to work on balance. Balance is so important. Good, Julia. All right, now, hopefully you've changed legs. All right, now we're taking Tita, whatever iteration you want to do. Many of you, I have seen hold the sides of the foot and take the leg out, just like I showed, or hold the big toe, or use the belt, or at the wall, or a ledge gale, or a chair, back of chair. All right, Tristan, let's see. Lift the leg, but in that quick little pause, good. Take the root of the thigh back. Good, Julia, that's it. Yes, you can do back rest, yokiko, into chair. Try to, good, Tony. So have faith, Shraddha, that you can do this freestanding. Although there are times to do it at the wall. Remember, I always think of Carla in this pose when she's done it at the back, her back to the wall. See if you can hold it, but don't hold it from your eyes or your tongue. Good, Susan. All right, change sides. Those of you can take it to the final. Like Ubaya, bring the chest to the leg and the leg to the chest. That's the final pose. You're holding the sides of the foot, letting the elbows go out to the side, and aim to get your leg and your chest together, right? Chest comes to leg, leg comes to chest, like Parsvottanasana. It's Parsvottanasana on one leg. It's Supta Panagustasana. Tony, step in a little bit. What? Don't let the foot roll out the standing foot. Try, those of you who can, and if this is a more challenging side, then I wouldn't go to the final. Yeah, that's it, Susan. Hold the sides of the foot and then kind of bow down. It's really good to touch the final, good, bad. The final pose at some point, just try it, where it feels like Parsvottanasana on one leg. Well done. Well done indeed. All right, now standing in Samastiti. Did everyone do the other leg? If you didn't do the other leg, do the other leg. Otherwise, just stand in Samastiti. All right. All right. Now we're going to retrace our steps. We're going to roll it back, okay? And when I do a sequence like this, where I'm calling retracing the steps, you'll see how much more easeful those other poses are now. So with that said, take Parsvottanasana from a different way. Many of you I saw stepping back, but you can take it from Utthita Hasta Padasana. Turn the right leg out. If you're at the wall, that's fine. All right, we're repeating Parsvottanasana. Have a blanket down, back rest of a chair ready. Legs apart, back heel down. Winnie, inch out a little bit with the front foot. Suck the shin in, and first stage, and then bow down. See if now the inquiry that you can make is, see how much more easeful this pose is now. So Peggy, we're doing Parsvottanasana, just retracing our steps. And bow down. That's it, Lindsay V. Bow down. Good. Legs straight. Good, Lana. And now on your exit, remember to come up with straight legs, back heel down, inhale up, you come. All right, other side, well done. If you need the wall, take it. All right, retracing our steps. Let's see. Left leg turns out, shin in, weight to the big toe of the left foot. You can touch concave. You don't have to always touch concave. And then go down. Remember, the classic way is with the hands behind the back in Paschima Namaskar, which always could be done, but we didn't do much arm work like Gomukhasana, which helps. Okay, just know that. This is like a review of 20 years. All right, now keeping the legs straight, inhale up, you come. All right, now we're going to do Supta Panagustasana, one full pose. We're going to hold the big toe, stay for a bit again. So, you know, we're planning to stay at least a minute, not 2 minutes, but make it a process, aiming to hold the sides of the foot, and then have a bolster ready, because we are going to lift our chest and head. And if it bothers your neck, then having the support at the back of the head, at that occiput, will really help. All right, so final, which means holding the foot, big toe, or the sides of the foot. And like you did some of you did in Utthita Hasta Panagustasana, some of you did in Parsvottanasana, you're merging the leg with the chest. So now, Peggy, we're doing the full Supta Panagustasana. Good. And then just note, you know, compare this one back to what you did, maybe that one, you know, 15 minutes ago. Stay with it. Remember, don't let the outer right hip lift up. Envision a traction bell. Don't let the outer right hip move to the right. Pin in. That compactness that you felt in the previous Parsvottanasana. And then, of course, in raising the head and the chest, relax the throat, the eyes, the tongue. Now, if you're holding the foot with the sides of the hand, both hands, the sides of the foot, or holding the big toe, then aim to bring the leg with you. 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 And then release and change sides. Do Ekapada. Start with the belt and then hold the big toe or the sides of the foot, particularly if this left side is more easeful. But again, don't quickly raise the chest and the head, because then the pose to some degree is largely over. People think of it as over. You know, you really want to make these poses a process, a journey, a path. And then move the leg any amount by drawing the abdomen back. That's good, Beth. And the elbows will go out to the side as the leg comes closer. And then maybe, 45 seconds in, then lift the chest. You could insert bolster, back of the head, and take it. Those of you at the final pose, watch the left hip. It wants to hike up and it wants to move out. Remember the iteration with the traction belt, which is always a reminder. Good, Andrea. That's it. Really nicely done. Okay, now release the leg, take a symmetrical Dvipada, knees into the chest, which will feel good on your back, even though it's not keeping with all the asymmetry. And then I think we'll do now from a prone position for upper body again, take Adho Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Remember, come into it differently. If you always step or jump back into it from Tadasana, do it this way. Tell me that's good. Heels can be at wall, feet hip width apart. The legs will feel dramatically, that's it. You can do it that way, yeah. You're not bearing weight, right? Yeah, we're gonna do up dog soon, Lindsay B. All right. Move the spine in and up, extinguish the angle between the upper chest and your upper arm. Good, extinguish the angle. Adjust the feet so they're running parallel. Okay, now walk or jump the feet toward the hands. Inhale, up you come. Take Samastiti, feet together. Spread the toes, lift the arches, lift the kneecaps. Put your hands on the roots of the thighs and make the thighs sleek. Make the thighs sleek as they were in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, we're going to Uttanasana. Take the arms up if you need. If you don't want your head down, just do half Uttanasana or do Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then exhale, bend forward, place the hands beside the feet, touch the concave, roll the buttocks over, the legs bend, that's fine, and then release waist, side ribs, and head down. Likely that this symmetrical Uttanasana will be significantly easier. Remember the option of inserting the blanket roll. Always there for the taking. Go down. And now place the hands on the hips and inhale, up you come. And now we're not going to finish here, but I would like you just to do a Paschimottanasana now with the feet together. Compare it to the first one. If you're not taking, if the abdomen is, if the diaphragm is not spreading, taking the feet hip width apart will help. So you do the iteration of Paschimottanasana. That's helpful for you to bring forth and spread the diaphragm. Much easier to spread the diaphragm in Uttanasana than Paschimottanasana because you have the weight of the legs. Remember to seal right above the knee down with that and go down. If you don't want your head down, so you're on your buttocks. If not, you're standing. Paschimottanasana, which is a very calming pose. So I just wanted to complete that sequence of symmetry, asymmetry, and then retracing our steps. I really like that, but I want to take, before we conclude the class, I want to just insert a few other things. Okay, now come up. So this is to some degree what I would say out of sequence, but that's okay considering the purposes. Take 2 blocks. So we're going to do, Lindsay, this is what I said about Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. I know you did it partly. So I want you to do Adho Mukha Svanasana first. And then you can come onto the tops of the feet and take Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Some of you will need to slide your pelvis forward. All right. So focus on the hands spreading and drawing up through the inner arms. If you're not, if this bothers anyone's shoulder or wrist, you can take the dumbbells or you can do it with the seat of the chair. So to me, doing at least 1 back bend a week is particularly important. And this is the one I'm choosing. Urdhva Mukha. Tristan, let's see. Come onto the tops of the feet, spread the toes, tailbone in. If you're on the tops of the feet, it'll be easier to bring the tailbone in. Slide the pelvis forward. If you're on the balls of the feet, that's fine. It'll be harder to feel the tailbone action. And do at least 3, coming in and out. You have to get some back bending in every week. And this will be the platform. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, of course, Elaine, for you, it can be done without coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana, just from a prone position. Okay, good, Mary Beth. Feel that energetic lift through your inner arms because you'll need that in a moment. Okay, now come down and we're doing Vashisthasana. I like to do it with the hands on the blocks. That's an option. You certainly don't need to do it, but I find it helpful. So I always say an arm balance a day will keep the doctor away, if only that were true. Okay, so Adho Mukha Svanasana, Vashisthasana. All right, when you're ready. Abdomen back. So alert the right hand in a moment, spread the right palm, pull up through your right inner arm. Mary Beth, don't lift the hip, a little less height in the hip. So the body, the body is kind of like at this side plank. Hand on hip for alignment, about good. And then extend, the arms are equally spreading. That's it. Good, Gail. All right, that's it, Lana. Stack or stagger the feet. Feet at the wall is a possibility if you're having a hard time holding it. Work up to a minute. Feet can be at the wall, feet can be beside each other. Good, Tony. Feet can be beside each other or stacked. Stacked, good, Val, is a little bit more challenging because you don't have the circumference that you have when it's stacked. Okay, one more time. These look good. Mary Beth, good. So sometimes I'll see this, the hip lifting like here, so you can see I'm angular. I don't want that. I just want to have a smooth line. All right. All right. Take one more time, one more Vashisthasana to the right. And then good. These look good. We worked on this a lot this year with stacked or staggered feet. We also did Vashisthasana 2, where one leg is airborne. We also tried Kasyapasasana, where the other leg was in Padmasana. And then, of course, the final one is Vishvamitrasana. Okay, to the left when you're ready. Wonderful. See? Oh, scared me. And now Adho Mukha Svanasana with the head down. So if your head cannot come to the floor, which it may not, then remember to insert the blanket underneath either the forehead or the crown of the head. It's not unusual to need a blanket in probably this much, like what I call a chunk of blanket, the same maybe fold that you had in Baddha Konasana, just to rest the head. So this is one that's rare, and not say rarely taught. We often don't do Adho Mukha Svanasana. Some people do it as a replacement pose for Shirshasana, but it's a really nice cooling pose. If it doesn't feel good, then take Paschimottanasana. So the head is down. So Val, this one I'm talking about. So oftentimes, and I've taught it this way, you come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, you measure the distance between the crown, the top of the head or forehead and the floor. And then basically the blanket or the two blocks become a filler. That's the pose. But yeah, don't make sure the thing is, guys, if your elbows are bent, you have too much height. I can tell you right now. The back of the neck should feel long. The cervical spine should chase the thoracic. If it doesn't feel comfortable with you, I want you to end on a high note. Take the blanket out. Don't do. Or you could do Prasarita Padottanasana, head down, or you can do Paschimottanasana. So if you feel that if it bothers your neck, or if you're having trouble getting the right height, abandon it. Go to unsupported. Okay, or Paschimottanasana or Prasarita Padottanasana, head down. That's it, Julia. Okay, my friends. I would like to have the last pose be Supta Virasana. I remember some years ago, there were some teachers having discussion. Why don't, people thought erroneously that, we never teach Supta Virasana at the end, but that's not true. I mean, Supta Virasana can be wonderful at the end of the class. So if that comes easily to you, fine. If not, do Supta Baddha Konasana with organic support in this manner. So I know for some of you, the knees are an issue in Supta Virasana. You can do Supta Baddha Konasana and head support. But if you can, do Supta Virasana, which we've done a lot, if that's amenable. And then we'll do our final Shavasana. So not going to take the arms overhead. The reason being, they're doing Supta Virasana at the last pose. So I don't want to alert the brain knowing that Shavasana is next. So you can see, there's a real art to sequencing. And we sequence, for not just for the physical body, but for the physiological and mental sheaths as well. Okay, and then just settle in, settle back. Think of this as your entry to Shavasana. Again, if you need more support, if the knees fly up, then take support. Some of you need ankle support. Some of you need more support underneath the trunk. And additionally, head support so that the neck is long. This is a pose where I don't want any struggle. Needs to be restful. Even take, if anything, I'd rather have you take more support than less. So it's not about getting anywhere, getting as low as you can. I don't want anyone to experience any kind of struggle in the pose. In fact, you could construct, I like this, construct a practice where there is no struggle, or do a sequence where there is no struggle. Not all practices are practices for improvement, getting better. Many practices are what we call of consolidation, where you're consolidating your mind and your body and merging all aspects of the body so that you are not fragmented. We aim to do yoga for wholeness, for unification, for integrating everything, not for separation and fragmentation. So it's important that we bring that into our practice. We'll spend another minute or so here. And then I'll give you a choice of Shavasana. Be it supine, lower legs on the seat of the chair. Prone is a way of drawing the senses inward rather easily. So any option, or you can just choose to sit. So I hope we ended on a high note. Tried impossible to bring in everything, but perhaps some highlights of many, many years together. So take what you need for relaxation. I like to call it relaxation, although of course the Sanskrit is Shavasana, but I think sometimes we forget how important it is to relax. And certainly don't want to omit Shavasana from our practice. But the quality of balancing alertness with relaxation is the quality that we want to have throughout our day. You know, can we incline our minds and bodies to relaxation, even when something, you know, is happening in the world that may not be particularly relaxing for you in the mind and in the body. You know, it's not so much what's happening, it's how we relate to what's happening. That's important. So taking your comfortable, relaxing posture, whatever that is. Again, no struggle, very easeful, settling down, settling back, letting go of all the shoulds. I should be different, you should be different, putting it all aside. And just being with what is. Ryan, the other day, used it last week, that the power of isness, the power of isness. And then I'll return again to Sylvia Vorstein's wise words. Be confident in the future. Everything is manageable. No.
She's a jolly good fellow. She's a jolly good fellow. She's a jolly good fellow. Nobody can know.
Oh my gosh, are you guys serious? Oh my word. Oh my gosh. Oh, I had no idea this was happening. I'm sorry.
And some flowers. And the Queen of
Oh my
Retirement. The Queen of Retirement crown.
That's hilarious. I was, you know what, Steve came home and I said, oh, that's odd, but I didn't think anything of it. And then I saw that you